Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well and enjoyed yesterday's sessions. This morning, I'm going to introduce Nicole, and she's going to be talking about teams in Yammer, the dream team in your organization. Over to you, Nicole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So welcome to my session. We will talk about how we can use Teams and Yammer in a coexistence in our company. And I will tell you the story of my company. So how did we introduce these two tools and how did we explain our users which tool has to be used for which use case? So first, before I start, I want to thank you, our sponsors. Without them, such an event wouldn't be possible, even if we are sitting at home or maybe in different offices and so on. So we have this great conference and there's so many information to share. So I hope you enjoy this conference. A few words to introduce myself. My name is Nicole Enders. I'm working as a team lead for Cloud Workplace Solutions at CONET. That's a company known in Germany for the government as well as for the private sector. And my main focus is social intranet, the modern workplace and collaboration. And that's all based on, in the past it was SharePoint. Nowadays we call it Microsoft 365. I have a focus on Teams and the Power Platform. So even if we are talking about collaboration, nowadays it's more Microsoft Teams. And if we are talking about business processes, then it can be the Power Platform, maybe Dynamics and so on. You find me on Twitter if you are interested to stay in touch with me later on. And you can also visit my blog. I always like to hear your ideas or your questions so I can give you more information about a special topic. So that should it be. So let's start. If you are talking about collaboration with Microsoft 365 and you log into office.com with your account, then you will see a wide range of tools which are there. And today we want to focus on two tools. So that's Teams and Yammer. But why do we focus on them? So if you are thinking to support your users or to have more fun while working together, then you should think about use cases. So it's not a discussion about tools. You have these use cases, you have problems you want to solve. So my first use case which comes up in my mind is working together on a document, for example. So how was it working in the past? I started writing a document and then I reached the point where I needed somebody else. And many years ago, I would send this document via email to the other person. And maybe this person forwarded this email to a third person and so on. And at the end, I got a lot of emails back with different versions of my document. And I had the work to aggregate everything and to get one single document again. So maybe it was more work for me to do this aggregation as writing the document on my own. The other important use case is all about exchanging information with a different focus. So maybe you want to exchange information with another person in an ad hoc way. So that can be the instant messaging, a chat, or however you want to call it nowadays. Another aspect can be spreading company-wide information. So that's some kind of an intranet scenario. Maybe you have an HR department and they want to tell everybody in the company that there is a new employee or that there are new rules you need to know. So that's exchanging information in another context. And that's why we are talking about this today. Maybe you want to build a corporate network. And if this works, you can think about external networks with your customers and partners as well. Why is building a network so important nowadays? If I think about my company, we are now 1,000 people at different locations, and nowadays most of us are working at home, so we have a lot of locations at the moment, and you don't know everybody anymore. As I started at the company, then we were 200 people and only 100 or so at the location I was working. So you had a chance to know everybody in person. And nowadays that isn't possible anymore. So I wouldn't know if there is somebody in this company who has the same interests as I. So we could have a chat about this. And that's why a corporate network gets more and more important. Other use cases are more daily business or have a project character, so managing tasks, sharing your knowledge, and support business processes. So if you need or if you want to go on vacation, maybe you have to request for some days off. So supporting business processes is a use case which we have in nearly every company. Yeah, and as you look on the right side here on the slide, you see a few of the tools we had on the previous slide. Yeah, and because I said working together on a document is the first use case which comes up in my mind. That's the reason why SharePoint was so important in our company. So we introduced SharePoint as a central location to store our documents. So I didn't need to send my document via email. I now can send a link to the document, which is stored in SharePoint, and everybody can work with me at the same time in the document. So we have no task to aggregate the information later on. I can even see when a person is entering some new paragraphs. So it's like real-time collaboration there. Yeah, and then as we introduced our new intranet in our company, that's 3 years now ago, with the base was SharePoint, but we needed another discussion part. So we wanted to build a corporate network. We wanted to talk to each other in a different way. And we were a few months too early for Microsoft Teams. So we introduced Yammer as the second tool for our employees. Yes, and we were not talking about SharePoint and we were not talking about Yammer because we didn't want to have this tool discussion. We gave it another name. So we were talking about our social intranet, but social intranet is not a sexy term for this. So we said, okay, we want to stay in touch with each other. So we call our intranet Connect. So we want to connect everybody. And in our different workspaces in Connect, we had a talk section, and this talk section, that is Yammer in the background. So that was our social intranet. Everything was working in a good way. We had a rollout process by doing workshops in every different department. And then a few months later, Microsoft Teams showed up, and we didn't roll out it at this time. So we said, okay, we need to check what this tool is about. How can we use this? And is it the same as Yammer, or is it something different? And now I want to tell you what's our answer for this, because we had a project team which was checking Microsoft Teams, and today I would say we have an answer because we have some experience and best practices. So I want to share this with you. So Microsoft Teams, only a short introduction before we go to the best practices. for me, Microsoft Teams is the collaboration tool in Microsoft 365. In the past, Outlook was the first application I opened every morning. Today, it's Microsoft Teams, and it's my central entry point because I find every internal information there. It aggregates different services like SharePoint and Planner for task management. I can even integrate Yammer if I'm using it there. I can use it via a mobile phone or the desktop application as I'm using it now for this event. And what I really like is the combination that I have my team rooms where I can do my daily work there. I have chat option to talk in an ad hoc way with other person, and I have even this phone and video conferencing option there. So I don't need to change to or to switch to another tool. I have everything I need here and there. Yeah, and if we have a closer look, I will only do this short because I think that most of you know Microsoft Teams already. So we have a list with your teams. You can find them. Maybe you use a nice team picture so the people find the right team in an easy way if they have a visual context where they are looking for. You have the option to structure a team into different channels, and you see every time when there is a new unread message for you, and you even see if you have new chat messages or if you were mentioned somewhere. Because if you are mentioned somewhere, then that's the same as somebody writes you an email and nobody else. It's a search and command bar, and I like this command bar because I have a lot of teams I'm working in, and if I start with a slash in this command bar, I get a list with all the available commands, and maybe I use the go-to command to switch to a different channel or team in a direct way, and I don't need to search for it in my list of the teams. And I said if something works in an internal way, we can also check if it's working in an external way. So if you have some customers or partners and you want to work together with them, then you can invite them as a guest into your team, or maybe they invite you. And if you are invited in another team, then you have this this drop down on the left side of your profile picture in the header bar, and then you can switch to the other tenant and work there as you are working here in your internal environment. So there are some differences when you are a guest in a team, but they're not so much important when you are participating in conversations or working with files. Yeah, and what about Yammer? So if we are looking on Yammer, then Yammer has another purpose. So you can create a corporate network, and you have the option to have a chat with somebody. You can participate in different groups. So there are discussions. You can be mentioned by somebody, or you can mention somebody. And you can do some mini polls, and you have a praise function, but these functions are in Teams as well. So that's not the real difference. What is the difference is that you can find colleagues with similar interests and topics and follow them. So this following function is not there in Teams because Teams has a focus on collaboration, on working together, while Yammer has more the focus on sharing and finding knowledge. So you can do this in different groups. Groups is similar to a team in Teams, but you don't have any substructure options as you have in Teams with these channels. But you can use topics. I would call them hashtags, but here the right term is a topic. So you can use them to give some categories, and later you can search for these topics. A person can have these topics too. So you have your network, and real network. So it's focus on the people, on the topics, and you have the information which connects everybody right there. If you look on Yammer, that's the old version of Yammer. In my tenant, I don't have the preview on the new Yammer at the moment. So we will only have a short look because I want to compare Teams and Yammer a little bit more in detail on the next slides. Yeah, and here you have these groups. That would be Teams and Teams. You have here notifications for new chats, or if you are mentioned somewhere. So this notification function is in both tools available. Yeah, and that should it be for the moment, because I want to tell you what are best practices, or we want to check which is the different purpose in detail. So first, we start with Teams again. So Teams is for collaboration in a team, and that can be a distributed team. So for example, in my team, we were the first ones in our company who started using Teams, and I set up a team room, and we started with the general channel. And for the first weeks, that was enough. So we had our discussions there. I, as a team lead, I used the announcements. So if there was an important information and I wanted everybody to look there, then I used the announcements, and otherwise I only created a new post, maybe with a title, maybe not. And we work together on shared documents. So we use this document tab in our general channel, and we're working there. So everything was working in a good way. And then we got our first external team member. And at this moment, I had to check what's about an external team member. I add him with his email address, and he gets access to my whole team. So if he gets access, can I have some private area for my internal team or not? And at this moment, the answer was no, because there were no private channels at the moment. Nowadays, I have a private area, but at this moment, I said, okay, an external team member has the same permissions as an internal team member. Yeah, and the next step was, okay, we need a group calendar. We need a place where we can add our team meetings, where we can schedule our workshops, which we are doing in a regular way. And we looked for an integration option for other tools. So for example, we are using Jira, as we are a software developer team. Yeah, and that was also a good option, because I looked on the different apps which were available, and there was a Jira app. And then I integrated this tool into our daily collaboration tool here. Yeah, and for meetings, as I said, I love this video conferencing option. So in our team, we had a daily stand-up meeting, which was taking place in one room in our office. And as we got our first external team member, he is sitting at Krakow. That was not the option to do this in one room anymore. And we said, okay, now our daily stand-up meeting will take place in Teams. And we are doing this since then in Teams. We have our meeting nearly at lunchtime, because after this everybody wants to go to lunch, so it's quite short, as the daily stand-up should be. but we are also doing other meetings, and we are doing workshops. So once in a month, we have a workshop, and we are talking about what did we learn in our projects in the previous weeks, or maybe somebody has an information he wants to share, and then we can record this meeting. So even if a person cannot attend, he can watch the video later on, and maybe ask some questions later, so he doesn't miss the information. And we need to write any notes down what was discussed in the meeting, because it's so easy. Press on record the meeting, finish the recording, and then everything is made for you, and this video is stored in Stream and available there. Channels. That's another important aspect here in Teams, because you have the option to substructure your team. You start with the general channel, and in my team, for example, today we have a lot of different channels. Not every channel is necessary for the whole life cycle of the team, so you can delete it later on if you want. But we said, okay, the general channel was messing up a little bit. So as we did this with the meetings, as the daily stand-up, we decided, okay, we will create a channel for this. So the channel has only the information, okay, a meeting has started, who attended to the meeting, did we have a discussion later on for the special meeting, but we don't have this information in the general channel anymore. The general channel is used for organizational aspects. Before COVID-19, we were talking a lot of there if somebody wanted to stay in the home office. So he wrote down, okay, I want to stay in home office. Does anybody have some issues with this? Do he need me in the office at this day? And then everybody of us gave a thumb up. So the other the person knows, okay, everything's right, and I can stay at home. Today it's it has swapped, so everybody's working at home, and if you want to work in the office, then you can write this message. Or this channel is more for me at the moment, so I'm writing my announcements there. So if we get a new project, or if there's some new rule we have to look for. Yeah, and we created other channels. So we also create a channel for small projects, because my team, we are some kind of an organizational unit. And if you have a new project, you can think about if you create a new team for this project, or if you would create a channel in your existing team. And we have a rule that if we have a project with other people which are not part of our team, then we create a new team. And if we have a really small project, maybe only a workshop for 2 or 3 days, and only people in our team are working on this project, then we would create a channel. And I have also channels for pre-sales, for strategy and business development. And if you're thinking about private channels, I have a private channel for my own, so for my team lead activities. So if I'm preparing something and I have some ideas, yes, I could store it in my OneDrive or on my local machine or whatever, but I like the idea that I have some ideas which are belonging to my team, but I need to prepare it a little bit before sharing it with my team members. Then I can use or store this in my private channel. And I can also have a private channel, as I said, if you have external team members. Today I have 3 external team members, and I need a place where I share information only with my internal team members. Then I can use this private channel option there too. Yeah, and maybe you recognize that I'm really happy with this tool, but there are still some open questions. So you are focused on your team. You're not really connected with other teams, so you see all your teams in your team list. That's right, but how do you connect with other teams where you aren't a member at the moment? And how do you find other employees with the same interests? And Teams doesn't give you the answer at the moment. So let's look on Yammer, because Teams is the collaboration in a team, and Yammer is the collaboration and the knowledge management in your company. So you have another level of collaboration with Yammer. You have the same options with discussions and announcements. You can use groups to structure the content in your corporate network. And you have these topics to help others to find the information again. And you can also create external groups. So you have in Yammer, you have the same option to invite external users, but you have to decide this by the creation of the group. So in Teams, it's so you start with an internal team, and then you invite an external team member, and then okay, these external team members can access everything except of private channels where you did not invite them. If you have this, if you have this requirement in Yammer, then you have to decide, okay, I need an external group. Then I can invite this external people, and they have access to this the whole group, but you don't have any channels, and you don't have the option to switch this later on. So it's a discussion between an external or an internal group. And you have also here the option to decide between a public and a private group. You have this option in Teams too, but as I recognized in Teams, most of the teams in our company have a private character, and in Yammer we have public groups because you want to share as many information as you want. So if you have public groups in your corporate network, everybody can see, okay, these three colleagues are talking about AI in a business scenario, and these colleagues are talking about how we can use Microsoft Teams or how can we improve user adoption and so on. And in Teams, you have more this organizational entity or project work character. Interaction with other people, it's quite easy here. So we have this option with mini polls and praise somebody. Praising is also an option in Teams, but maybe here it's a little bit different because you can praise somebody and the whole company maybe knows about this because you are using public groups, for example. And you can follow your colleagues. So if you are interested in what somebody else is doing in this corporate network, you can say, okay, I want to follow this person, and then you get all the actions of this person in your personal feed. Yeah, and Yammer has some limitations. So as I said, we have not the option to create a substructure in a group. There's no function like this channeling in Teams. We have not the option to start a meeting or to record it. So that's not the real purpose here. And you have even no option to integrate other tools to access them from a group. But you can combine both worlds. So if you want to go with Yammer and you're working in your corporate network, and then you have your team in Teams where you are doing your work in your organizational entity, then you can integrate Yammer as a tab, maybe focused on a special topic or focused on a special group, and then you have the combination of both, and I really like this. And here only a short look back on our use cases I mentioned at the beginning. So if we compare both tools, we see that Microsoft Teams is very powerful for most of our use cases, but Yammer has some important functions when you look on spreading company-wide information or building a corporate network. So you can use it there. For the exchange of ad hoc information, I only gave 1 star to Yammer because yes, you have the option to start a private chat, but you don't have this option to start a phone call, a video call, to share your screen and so on. So that's much better in Teams. But if you look on the purpose, collaboration for teams and project teams and org units, and Yammer as a company network with your knowledge management, then you need both to work together. Maybe you don't need it if you are in a real small company and you know everybody, but if you're working in a bigger company, then you will get the most out of both tools in a combination. And if we have a look on developing an amply focused communication strategy. Oh my God, I'll I choose the long title for my last point here, because what's really important, tools can help you, but there's no guarantee that they solve a communication problem. So if I talk about my company, we had a fast decision that we started with SharePoint and Yammer in our company. So the technical issue was not there. We needed a lot of time to talk about how we want to introduce these tools, how do we want to use these tools, and what is not possible. So in our project team, we needed a few months to talk about the different options, to get an idea what we want to talk to with our other colleagues. And then we did workshops. So we decided to go to do a workshop with every department, with every organizational and unit, I would say. And there was a session about 2 hours. We gave them a workspace in our new intranet. We said, okay, now we talk about how you use it. And we didn't talk about that this is a SharePoint document library or that this is a Yammer group or whatever. So we were talking about if you go in your workspace and you see your homepage there, you have the option to post new information, and maybe that's only an information which is relevant to your org unit. So post it there. If it's an information which is relevant for the whole company because you want to inform everybody about a real cool new project, then you post it here, and you have a discussion part. And maybe you can share documents and so on, but if you focus on this information part, you have this discussion part, and you have to think about if this discussion part should be open to everybody in your company. So maybe nobody else except of your org unit will join this conversation, but everybody can read it. Do you want this? And this is a discussion which you should start very early while introducing such an environment, because you have to think about this. If you do everything as you did it before, then nobody will be happier as before. So if you think about a new social intranet, then you should think about what do you want to change, and a change is not easy. It's always this way. Yeah, and so if you are looking for an amply focused communication strategy, then the decision for the tools is made, and then I have a few points for you. So maybe it's a good idea to ask your employees what they need. So we, for example, we had some kind of a contest. So everybody could tell us, what do you miss today? What do you want in a new social intranet to improve your daily work? And do you have some ideas how to do this? Yeah, and if you ask the employees, I know that there's a risk, because then there are some expectations, and maybe you can't fulfill them, but maybe you can create some kind of a roadmap. So please collect all this feedback, because otherwise you will have some ideas and maybe they are good for you, but not for the whole company. So if you don't ask the others, you will never know what they really need. And then you are working in such a project to introduce a new social internet, and you won't get the feedback you really want and as you deserve for your work. If you have all these ideas of the other employees, then create some rules. And I'm not talking about if we choose Teams and Yammer, everybody should know which tool should he use for which use case. So when I'm looking for information of a project, do I go to Teams or do I go to Yammer? For me, the answer is clear. So all my project relevant work is done in Teams. So I would look there. I know that there's a team for every project except of the smaller ones, but these are implicit rules. So you need to write down these rules. They must be clear and easy to understand. And then you should communicate these rules. So everybody should understand the purpose of these rules. They should be transparent, and everybody should understand them. And please think about the employees which are not there at the moment. Maybe some new employees which have their first day in the next month or in the next year. There should be a place where they can find these rules. That should be a part of the onboarding process. And these rules cannot be the same for eternity. So you need to review your rules, and you need to review the tools. So for us, for example, we started with SharePoint and Yammer, and then Teams showed up, and we needed to check, okay, what's about this new tool? Where can we use this? Is it the same as Yammer or not? Today we know the answer. So it's not the same tool. They have similar functions, but they have a different purpose, and they can coexist. Maybe not in every scenario. So if you are a really small company and you would say, oh my God, I don't have the use cases for both tools, so maybe I go with one of them. But maybe in the future, a new tool will show up and we will say, okay, now we don't need SharePoint anymore, or we don't need Teams anymore because this new tool is so much better and has everything we need there. So please review the rules and the tools and ask your employees again. And don't ask them only one more time. Ask them in a regular way, or implement a community where everybody can give you feedback. So for example, for us, our first Yammer group, which was created, was a feedback group for our new social intranet. And for me, it was a highlight in this project when the first questions came in. We were the persons who answered, so the project team itself. And then there was the one special day where somebody asked a question, and another employee, which was not part of our project team, he answered. And that was the first step of becoming a real community. So everybody helps each other. And we as a project team, we could relax a little bit and think about how do we want to implement a real review process, what's about a roadmap, and how can we tell our colleagues that some improvement steps will come after a few months or a few weeks, and so on, so that we could think about the future. So that's it from my side. Do we have any questions so far?
Thanks, Nicole. Just having a look. No, there are no questions at the moment. What I will do is I will put the breakout link in the announcement now, everyone. So if you want to join some post-session networking, please do so. Just paste that across.
Okay. Then if there are no questions at the moment, I will be in the breakout session if you want to talk to me a little bit. I want to thank you for joining us today. And if you want to stay in touch with me, here's my Twitter handle again. You find here my blog. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the conference. So today and tomorrow there are a lot of sessions coming today and tomorrow. Yeah, and then thank you again, and maybe I see some of you in the breakout session.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks everyone for joining.
You're welcome.